Throughout human history, societies have grappled with the balance between individual freedom and the collective good. These two philosophical concepts, individualism and collectivism, often seem to present starkly different perspectives on human nature, society, and ethics. Individualism champions personal autonomy, freedom, and self-expression, while collectivism stresses the importance of group identity, solidarity, and social responsibility. Both of these ideologies have had a profound impact on political, social, and cultural thought and practice. This video will explore the philosophical foundations of individualism and collectivism, examining their implications for society, politics, and human development, as well as considering the tensions and potential harmonies between these two often opposing forces. Before delving deeper into the philosophical nuances of these concepts, it is crucial to first define individualism and collectivism in broad terms. Individualism is the belief that the individual's rights, freedom, and self-interest are of primary importance. In this view, society should provide an environment where individuals are free to pursue their goals and aspirations, with minimal interference from others, including the state. Individualism often emphasizes personal responsibility, autonomy, and the ability to make choices without undue constraint. On the other hand, collectivism emphasizes the importance of the group, community, or society over the individual. It suggests that the well-being of the group is paramount and that individuals must sometimes subordinate their personal interests to the greater good of the collective. Collectivism is often associated with values such as cooperation, social responsibility, and mutual support. In contrast to individualism, it tends to stress the interconnectedness of all members of society and the need for collective action to address shared challenges. From my own perspective, I find that both individualism and collectivism offer compelling arguments and that the debate between them is far from black and white. We live in an interconnected world where personal freedom and societal responsibility must coexist, albeit in a delicate balance. In my view, the tension between these two ideologies is not a conflict to be resolved, but rather a dynamic interaction that must be continually navigated by individuals and societies alike. Individualism has roots in the Enlightenment and early modern philosophy. Philosophers like René Descartes, John Locke, and Immanuel Kant contributed significantly to the development of individualist thought. Descartes' famous declaration, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am, placed the individual at the center of knowledge and existence. Descartes' emphasis on the individual's ability to reason and perceive the world as an autonomous subject provided the philosophical foundation for later individualist ideas. Locke's theory of natural rights, which emphasized the protection of life, liberty, and property, further reinforced individualist ideas. Locke argued that individuals possess certain inalienable rights by virtue of being human, and these rights cannot be violated by any authority, be it government or society. His ideas greatly influenced the formation of modern democratic states, particularly the United States, where individual liberty became a cornerstone of political philosophy. Immanuel Kant, meanwhile, argued that human beings should be treated as ends in themselves, not merely as means to an end. Kant's deontological ethics, which emphasized the intrinsic worth and dignity of each individual, contributed to the development of individualist morality. According to Kant, each person has the capacity for rational thought and moral decision-making, and their autonomy should be respected in all aspects of life. Personally, I resonate with the individualist emphasis on autonomy and self-expression. In a world where conformity often takes precedence, the idea that individuals should have the freedom to chart their own paths is empowering. However, I am also mindful that too much focus on individualism can lead to isolation and a sense of disconnection. The notion of the self-made person is inspiring, but it can also obscure the role of community, support, and shared resources in an individual's success. In contrast to individualism, collectivism has its roots in a variety of philosophical traditions, particularly in the works of Karl Marx, George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, and various communal and religious ideologies. Marx's vision of a classless society, in which the means of production are owned collectively and resources are distributed based on need, emphasizes the primacy of the collective good over individual self-interest. Marx argued that individualism, in its capitalist form, alienates people from their true human nature and creates inequality and exploitation. For Marx, human beings are fundamentally social creatures, and their well-being depends on their participation in a collective, cooperative community. Marx's vision of a communist society was predicated on the idea that individuals could only achieve true freedom and self-fulfillment within a collective framework that prioritized social welfare over personal gain. George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel also contributed to collectivist thought through his concept of the ethical life, Sittlichkeit. Hegel argued that individuals find their true freedom not in isolation, but in their relationships with others within the social institutions of family, civil society, and the state. For Hegel, personal identity and freedom are shaped by one's participation in the larger ethical community, and this process of collective self-realization is essential for human flourishing. While I respect the ideals of collectivism, such as mutual aid, solidarity, and the recognition of social bonds, I have some reservations about its practical implementation. The challenge with collectivism, especially in its more extreme forms, is the risk of sacrificing individual freedoms in the name of the collective good. In authoritarian regimes, collectivism can be distorted into a justification for control and conformity, leaving little room for personal expression or dissent. Yet, at its best, collectivism offers a vision of a society where individuals work together to elevate everyone, and this is an ideal worth striving for. The tension between individualism and collectivism is most apparent in political theory. Political ideologies and systems are often built upon different balances between individual rights and collective obligations. For example, libertarianism, which emphasizes individual autonomy and minimal government intervention, is a political philosophy rooted in individualist principles. Libertarians argue that government should only intervene in society to protect individual rights, such as freedom of speech, property, and personal liberty. On the other hand, socialism and communism are political systems rooted in collectivist ideals. Socialists believe in the redistribution of wealth and the collective ownership of certain industries and services to ensure that everyone has equal access to resources and opportunities. In a socialist system, the needs of the collective are prioritized over the unrestricted pursuit of individual gain, and individual freedoms may be curtailed for the sake of social justice. Personally, I find the idea of striking a balance between individualism and collectivism particularly appealing. In my view, a functioning society must respect the autonomy and freedom of individuals, while also ensuring that no one is left behind due to economic inequality, lack of opportunity, or social marginalization. For example, a well-designed welfare state can help address these imbalances without undermining personal liberty, creating a society that nurtures both individual potential and collective well-being. Beyond politics, individualism and collectivism also play out in cultural and social contexts. In many Western cultures, individualism has become deeply ingrained as a central cultural value. For example, in the United States, the ideals of personal freedom, self-reliance, and individual achievement are celebrated, and people are often encouraged to pursue their dreams and aspirations independently. In contrast, many Eastern cultures, such as those in Japan, China, and Korea, emphasize collectivist values. In these societies, there is a stronger emphasis on family ties, social harmony, and the needs of the group. Individual desires may often be subordinated to the interests of the family or the community. This cultural difference has been a point of contrast in global discourse on social organization, with some arguing that Western individualism promotes independence and creativity, while Eastern collectivism fosters social cohesion and stability. From my own observations, I find that while Western individualism encourages a spirit of entrepreneurship and personal achievement, it sometimes leads to excessive competition and loneliness. Conversely, Eastern collectivism, while fostering strong community ties, can stifle personal expression and innovation. The ideal society, in my opinion, would draw on the strengths of both approaches, one that values individuality while also nurturing a deep sense of interconnectedness. While individualism and collectivism are often portrayed as opposing forces, it is possible to envision a society where both values coexist in harmony. For instance, liberal collectivism seeks to balance individual rights with social responsibility. In such a society, individuals are encouraged to pursue their personal goals, but they also recognize their responsibility to contribute to the common good and to support others within the community. One possible way to reconcile individualism and collectivism is through dialogue and mutual respect. Rather than viewing these two philosophies as mutually exclusive, we can acknowledge that individuals and groups are interdependent. The success of any society may depend on its ability to strike a balance between personal freedom and collective well-being. The philosophical debate between individualism and collectivism continues to be a central issue in modern thought, politics, and society. Both philosophies offer valuable insights into human nature and the organization of society. While individualism emphasizes personal autonomy and freedom, collectivism stresses social responsibility and the importance of community. The challenge, however, is to find a way to integrate these two values in a way that promotes both individual flourishing and collective well-being. Whether through liberal democratic frameworks or new social models, the tension between individualism and collectivism will continue to shape the future of human societies. In my own life, I have come to believe that the pursuit of individual goals and the nurturing of collective well-being need not be mutually exclusive. In fact, the most fulfilling lives are often those that find harmony. Thank you for accompanying. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below so we can discuss. Wish you and your family good health.